Hello, hello, hello. It is your boys, the DM podcast, once again giving you that redraft flavor in your ear. Craig Mack, 1980, no, 1992, 93, one of
What
those.
is that track? Yeah, yeah. It's a
Yeah.
brand new flavor. Yeah, yeah.
So
Big two, big two.
we're taking it back to '03, where we're going to talk about, some would say, the best draft of all time, NBA draft of all time. Some would argue. But in doing the list, the top 10, I went like darn near 20 man deep because there was so much man. The top tier talent was definitely the top tier talent. That's we already know is generational. There's certain top tier talent that in the league that we haven't seen in this long. I don't think I would say the '09 draft is a pretty good draft because you got like two guys in Curry and Harden. And then I don't know if there's another draft since then that has produced the level of stardom like this. And I'm saying it now, I have to really think about it. There's drafts that we want to talk about, like a Zion and John Morant type draft, but we need to see more come from those people to talk about them more. But this '03 draft, we already know many of the guys who are already on it. But before we even get to there, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. One of the videos is doing really well. We want to appreciate everyone who's watched it. If you haven't watched the other ones, make sure you watch all the redraft for this series because the NBA season is 50 days away. So it's upon us. But
Definitely.
before I continue, how is YS doing? How's my brother?
You already know, brother. Every day above ground.
As long as we're above ground, then we're always good. Always, always, always good. Now, a debate happened before we get to the '03 draft where it was at Edwards. He had passed a comment about the league back in the day. Mind you, he said he didn't watch the league. He said he didn't watch it, so it's kind of okay. He didn't really watch. So it's kind of hard when you say you didn't watch. Like I didn't really watch Jordan, so I don't. That's why Jordan can never really be my go. I can watch highlights all I want, but I feel like I'm more invested in the guy like that we're gonna talk about in LeBron. But Anthony Edwards had mentioned that only Jordan had skill. He was the only guy back then that had skill, which prompted someone like KG to say, "You guys didn't. You guys talk about skill. We had a bunch of skill in my day. He's talking about his day now, saying that none of you guys could even be in our locker rooms," which always passes on a bunch of debates. Do you fall into the category of fighting through eras, or is it kind of pointless to fight through basketball eras?
It's kind of pointless. In my opinion, it's kind of pointless. Like how I look at NBA is for that time frame, like 70s, 80s, 90s, those were the best players of that time. You know what I mean? So it's you can say, oh, everything evolves, right? Music, clothing, sports, everything evolves, right? It's not supposed to be the same, right? And there's going to be improvements, while sometimes not going to be improvements, right? So right now we have a league where it's a lot of scoring, high scoring. Defense is like, we don't really want to see too much defense. We want to see 130-point games, right? And those before it wasn't like that. It was more defensive. So it's just you can't compare. It's different rules too. You know what I mean? Refs are like you can't do the step back down in 95 and 96. That's a travel. They're calling you for a travel, right? So there's just don't get it twisted. There have been ballers in every generation. In every decade there has been ballers. You can't tell me Dr. J cannot play in this time right now.
Right.
You can't tell me that. You know, you can't tell me Bird can't play in this time right now. 6'10" shooting lights out, having baby hooks and all that too. You can't tell me Magic Johnson can't play in this time either. So it's just like it's to me it's pointless. Ant-Man is just he's a kid. He says a lot of things for shock value, right? It's part of his brand, right? So I feel like it was kind of just going for the shock value, right? That's how I feel.
Yeah, I think like when we talk about top end talent, is always going to be, but it's going to be good regardless. And people are like, "Oh, I would never let Steph Curry do what he did. That man can shoot from anywhere around. Like he's running around everyone. He's getting himself open. You saw what Reggie Miller did. If Steph is a better version of Reggie Miller, how are you gonna stop Steph? Top end talent, there's no one that can stop top end talent always.
Steph was 34 last year, and he averaged 30 points
Come on.
in right at 34 years old, right? So he's playing in any era. I don't care. Like
Thing it doesn't make sense now. I will say something about defense. I think the defense now is better than it was before. I think claiming, like when I think about defenders back in, of course, there's a few defenders. Like Rodman was a defender. That guy can guard in any era. But
Pippen too.
if you're telling me your defense was like hitting mans, like punching mans in the face, that means you couldn't stop Jordan. You had to result into physical violence
Yeah.
to stop him. That means you couldn't do it. That means you didn't know how to play defense on the man.
I feel like there's more celebrity calls in a sense now. Like it's just a little touch, it's fouled or a little,
It's
and with the
true.
gambling too, it's with the gambling because it wasn't like that before. It's they can manipulate it easier now.
It's true. I think like, when we watch a guy like Harden or like Trey Young, they've kind of hurt when guys get foul called, they kind of make it a little bit suspect. You really don't want to kind of see something like that. So it's kind of cheeseful overall. So I agree in that sense. But yeah, I think the era stuff is like everyone's gonna say their era is better. We're gonna watch and be like, our era is better, our era is tougher. It's just the way life is. Just like the older generation is gonna be like, we work harder than you guys. We're gonna be like, nah, man, we work harder than you. We're looking at Gen Z's thinking that they're lazy. Gen Z is looking at Gen X thinking like, man, y'all have everything handed to you. It's just a generational thing, what it comes down to. But a lot of mans could have played, like KG could have played in this era, for sure.
100%.
KG could have definitely played in this era. It would have been well, he would have been really good in this
A
era.
lot of guys, Clyde Drexler, like I feel a lot of guys can play in this area. I feel like Chris Johnson or you know what I mean? He was the original Curry before Dell, right?
Right.
So a
Right.
lot of guys can play and excel right now from the 80s, from the early 90s. You're telling me Chris Mullin cannot excel now? The
Right.
prime Chris Mullin? People like you have to watch basketball for decades to understand like yo, there's skill in
There's definitely.
all decades, there's skill. And Chris Mullin wasn't a top tier superstar. He made a 1-2 All-Star, but
Mhm.
believe me, he was killing you. And that's Chris Mullin. Tim Hardaway. There's so much guys I could name. This podcast go on for hours if we talk about this.
Yeah, there is.
So
There's a legit a bunch of guys that could be named.
yeah,
The next thing I want to bring up, I saw this somewhere and I kind of liked its topic, so I kind of want to bring it up with you. So I'll give an example, which no, I don't want to give that example because okay, so let's say all the teams, you can talk about starting five, whatever. If a guy can be 5 years younger on a certain squad, who would you want that to be? Now, a team like the Lakers, it would obviously be like LeBron. You'd want LeBron to be 5 years younger. A team like OKC, you couldn't.
Irving was in high school. Irving was
They're
back
yeah,
in high
they're high school.
school.
So you couldn't pick. So it's like certain teams we can choose. So a team like the Milwaukee Bucks, if you had to pick a guy who can be 5 years younger, who
That's
would
easy. Damian Lillard.
so the reason why I brought it because I would say the person you would want is because Damian Lillard is a good choice because you're right. Damian Lillard 5 years ago is one of the best players in the league, like no question. But what about a 5 years ago Brooke Lopez?
I would think him next. I'm not gonna lie, because Middleton wasn't on my when you said that, but that's not bad. That's not bad. Because
Right?
you're
Because
talking about like a Brooklyn Nets, Brooke Lopez, right?
right, like a 5 years ago, Brooklyn, Brooklyn Nets Lopez who can shoot the three, score the basket, kind of that guy on the Bucks right now.
Yeah, 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 that'd be kind of that would be. But it's the thing is with that, it's because of the team makeup. Like you have Giannis, so you need a space, so they're not gonna have him in the paint like that because
Right.
he'd be inside outside. Now he's just kind of outside outside.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's the
Okay.
Giannis and the spacing. It's like Pelicans. You can't have JV there anymore because
Yeah.
Zion and the spacing. So it's like, yeah.
they're a team I can see, like we'll talk about that way, way in the future. First, I believed in them, and now I can see it more and more. Without a center, I don't know what their plan is. And they still have Brandon Ingram on their squad. They got to make something rock, but I don't know. I don't think they know what they got to do, but they got to make something rock soon. Another team, if you want a guy 5 years younger, the Denver Nuggets. I feel like that the answer could be easy, but the Denver Nuggets 5 years younger.
Like it could be easy, but it couldn't be. Like
Because I'm
honestly,
thinking like Westbrook 5 years younger, of
yeah,
course.
Nuggets definitely. I would definitely Westbrook.
But then I'm thinking, would that Westbrook hurt the team they have, or it's Westbrook? He'll make it better.
I feel like Westbrook 5 years ago was what 2019. He was wearing 2019. He was
Right.
Houston.
2019, yeah, it's before the bubble, so it's either the last year of OKC or the first year of Houston.
Like I feel he'll make it work. 5 years ago, Westbrook, especially with Houston Westbrook, like I'm playing with. Yeah, I feel like because that's after OKC, and it's like I want to win. So I
Right.
feel yeah, yeah.
Okay, what
You
about
don't want to say
five?
Murray, and you don't want to say Joker. Yeah,
Yeah, no, because Joker wasn't, he was still that guy, but it wasn't like that. It
and
wasn't like,
Porter was still like injured.
oh yeah, no, I would definitely, him or Jamal Murray I wouldn't want. What about
Yeah.
the Clippers? Which is it's pretty much like you want 5 years younger Kawhi, which is basically one of the best players in the league, or James Harden, who's also one of the best players in the league. What would you rather?
The thing is this 5 years younger Kawhi? Does it come with 5 years younger, less injuries? Because that's Toronto 2019 Kawhi championship playing what
Yes, so
8
pretty much
games?
let's say that you have that time, that one, like that Kawhi Leonard.
I want Kawhi. Like I want Kawhi. Harden. I was looking at Harden's stats today, and I'm like, yo, Harden was averaging like 5 years ago, or no, 7 years ago, 36 points. 7 years ago, right? In
Right.
Houston, right? He's averaged 16 points. That's 20 points difference.
Yeah.
20-point difference at 34 years old. And Curry's averaging 30 at 34 years old. So Harden 5 years ago was I wasn't averaging double double because
Yeah.
he was having
Harden,
like
he was
six, seven.
also a triple double.
Actually, yeah, you're right. He didn't get rebound. Yeah, he was having. Yeah, yeah. So
So
I'd say Harden five.
yeah, me too. I think Harden 5 years ago is a more dynamic player. Like Kawhi now and Kawhi 5 years ago is really just like an injury version. But you get Harden 5 years ago to like that's a bigger difference. Like
Yeah, it is because you got Harden giving you close to a triple double and 30 while playing 75 games.
I think this one could be obvious. 5 years ago, Philadelphia 76ers. I'm thinking it has to be Paul George,
Well, yeah, definitely.
right? Because Embiid
Not
5 years
saying
ago
Embiid.
is still good. You 'cause
You're not saying Embiid, and you're not saying 5 years ago Maxi.
yeah, he's a
Was he in
child.
school? He was in
Hey,
school 5 years ago, right?
definitely college at that time. So you can't say yeah. So that makes sense. What about the Phoenix Suns? You going KD or Bradley Beal when he's like scoring record, or Booker? I think he's the one you won't pick because he's
I'm not
better now.
picking Booker. The thing is, I pick between KD and Beal, but I'm more or less leaning towards probably KD,
Right.
right? But Beal, like I felt like Beal was the reason why he was only scoring like that because Washington had nobody. Like John Wall hasn't played, he
This is
retired,
this is true. This is
right?
true.
Washington had nobody, and it's like we need a billboard of a star player for Washington so we can at least put some people in the seats because we ain't doing shit.
A team that realized like you're not really picking anyone because everyone's at their best version of like Indiana Pacers. You don't want 5 years ago Pascal because 5 years ago Pascal is the 2019 second fiddle to Kawhi. If
Yeah.
it's the following year Pascal, you may want him, but Pascal's a better three-point shooter. He's better at his game now.
hmm
You want
hmm
to so really like a team like Indiana, there's no one. There's still a lot of young teams if you think about it. Like
Even Miles Turner, no, he's better now.
he's better now, right? Like so it's not even
And
really
it's too young. Like 5 years ago was just. Yeah, so I'm like thinking, who's on the squad 5 years ago for the
Right.
Pacers? Like I'm trying to think. Okay,
Now, now I'm thinking right now. Okay, let's go to those young teams. OKC, who would you be like, I want this person to be 5 years older?
5 years older.
Yeah.
OKC. Mm, that's a good one. I want to say, I want to say Ja, right? You
No,
want
no,
to see?
OKC, OKC.
Okay. Oh, shoot. I'm one thing. That's OKC. I want to say, uh, Shea Dort.
There's Shea Dort,
Maybe,
there's Chet.
maybe Chet. Maybe Chet.
Right,
Maybe
because
Chet.
either Chet or J Dub, or you go, like you said, Shea. But you're thinking, okay, if Shea's good this now.
Shay's MVP now, so I'm going with Chet. 5 years in the future, more weight, more experience.
Yeah,
I'm not saying crazy weight, but like,
just more
like a
size.
KD, kind of like I'm slim still, but I can maneuver.
San Antonio, obviously Victor, 5 years older Victor. Crazy 5 years older Victor.
Victor, 5 years older, is just
It's crazy.
he's the
Uh,
face of the league because LeBron. I'm not even gonna say shouldn't be in the league because I don't know what that guy's on, but
yeah.
when
I'm trying to
LeBron
think.
retires, he should be the face.
Yeah. Let's go with it's almost like who do you want to be their future? Like I'm thinking Houston Rockets, 5 years older.
You know who I'm picking Alfred Sengun,
Oh, you're
Sengun,
right.
Sengun.
Right.
Yeah,
I was thinking like I thought maybe you'd pick Jalen Green because I don't think I Jalen Green. I'm telling you guys he's Jordan Clarkson, but you guys will see it more and
like
more.
Jalen Green is nice. Don't get it twisted. I see the Jordan Clarkson comparison, yeah, but more all around guy is Sengun.
Yeah, Sengun. Yeah, you're right. 5 years older Sengun is actually pretty good.
Yeah,
Uh, the Magic. I'm thinking we're both say Banchero. Banchero.
that's not even a question.
Yeah, he's
Let's
a.
go with number two on Magic. Who was the second guy? Because Paulo was there.
It has to be Franz. I want to see.
Thank you. Thank you. It's France. Because it's
He's
not Markel Fultz.
done. He's not even signed yet. Yeah, he's still not signed. There's some measures still not signed. He's one of the guys not signed yet. He may not get signed. And mind you, they need a kind of a guard, but like this was just happening when you're so young. Like
They got Suggs, Cole Anthony. Well, Suggs plays the two. Cole Anthony.
yeah, they have uh
Anthony Black. They actually,
Black
they don't need
and
to sign him. They don't really need to sign him
they're
still.
willing to sign
But,
him.
and I
Um
like Black. I like Anthony Black. You got some height. You got
yeah.
some height.
Detroit. Is it is it easy Cade or is it like Jalen Duran or Ivy?
It's you just don't even just who's the second player you want to be 5 years old because we all know it's Cade the first. We all know it's Cade.
I think my curiosity would be like a Ron Holland. I want to see what he can do because they say he used to be a number one overall pick. Like him, the guy from went to the Chicago, like those guys were like hovering on number one overall pick in the draft back in the day. So I want to see a 5 years from now like Ron Holland. But I think Jalen Duran, who I believe like I don't believe I think he could be like a most improved player where he's averaging like 15 and 10, but it's a nice 15 and 10. Like it's a nice
Yeah.
center for you. He's a guy that I'd be interested in as well. But yeah, you're right. Detroit, it's definitely Cade. That's Cade. Let's see 5 years.
Ivy, me and Ivy because it's not Bagley. Bagley's on the Pistons, right?
Yeah. No, did he? Yeah,
Did
because
he?
Wiseman is on the Pacers, so it has
Oh
to be.
my God, Wiseman. This guy's still in the league? Wow.
The thing with Bagley, I'm telling you, that man out of college, out of high school, oh my goodness,
Was a guy. Trust me,
he
he was
was
the guy.
he was
Yes.
supposed him and Michael Porter Jr. The battles you would see from their high school tape, you're like, this guy's gonna be. I thought he was gonna be a problem when he came second overall. I'm like, yo, this guy's gonna be better than everyone on the whole thing. I thought he was gonna be the best player in the whole draft. I'm like, this guy is a talent. Like he's a talent. 5 years from now, we'll leave it at this last team, even though it's kind of like they should just really tank for Cooper. I think this team could be like the worst team in the league, maybe win 10 games. The Portland Trail Blazers. Like, who is it just is the obvious answer you want to see? Why is his name out of my brain? My man's name? Scoot. Do you want to see 5 years Scoot, or do you want to see is there someone else that Shaden Sharp 5 years? I think I just picked it, Shaden Sharp. I want to see Shaden Sharp 5 years from now. Yep, that guy could be a
I'm
He's
gonna play devil's advocate and I'm gonna say Scoot because I've been a fan of Scoot from when he was in the G League.
yeah,
Like,
it's
and he
nice.
was, you know what I mean? And I'm like, this is like a baby Westbrook. If he can get a jumper, so I want to say Scoot, but does Portland have good player development? You got to really develop on your own.
The things they do, right? If you think about it, Brandon Roy, LaMarcus Aldridge, Dame, CJ, Wesley Matthews,
Was that the
Batum.
organization you feel, or was that those individual players saying, I need to get better?
I think it has to be 50-50. I think Portland has always been Portland, Phoenix, and like Utah to me have always been those Western Conference teams that have always been kind of sticking around. Like they'll have a really bad season, but like they've always been kind of a team, like always. So like do we if you think about it, we can name the Jail Blazers, like the Jailblazer version. We
They
can
were
name
even
Brandon.
going to the playoffs.
Right. We can name Brandon Roy's Trailblazers, then LaMarcus Aldridge's Trailblazers, then Damian Lillard's Trailblazers. We can say
They were all kind of, yeah. And then if you go further back before the Jailblazers, you can talk about Clyde Drexler,
right, right.
you know what I mean? Types of,
So you can with that team, I don't know if they're gonna win a lot of games, man. I really don't.
Portland, yeah, if they win 21 games, I'm surprised that they
I'll
win
be
20.
shocked. Jeremy Grant would have had to have been because that guy should be getting traded soon. His contract just isn't the greatest, but that one's a wait and see. That one's a wait and see. But that was just some early topics before we get to the main event, the '03 draft. Like I said, probably the best draft comparatively to 1984 and 1996 draft.
Yeah, this had a lot of guys, you know what I mean, that were around in the league for like more than a decade, and you know what I mean. So
It legit had a lot of guys,
yeah,
like a
that you're like,
lot
oh
of guys,
shoot, Michael Petrus, oh shit, yeah, oh shit, you know what I mean. So
like a lot of guys. So like
shit,
no,
Nick Collison, you know what I mean, played 14 years, like oh shit, you know what I mean. So
I definitely had guys. The in the bench there was not too much guys except my boy Jose Calderon. Sorry, undrafted player on my bench. Undrafted players, that was the one. But there is like a few guys. Listen, this draft is not just deep, it's deep with guys who just played long
yeah,
years.
in the league, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, but they're not the well, I know LeBron, he keeps scoring, but they're not the number one scoring draft ever.
Really.
No, I
Because
think
LeBron, Wade, Melo, Bosh, all these guys, they're not number one scoring draft. That's kind of crazy.
no, the number one scoring draft, I think, is the one with Malone.
What year was that? 80. When did he come into the league?
Trying to number one scoring NBA draft. I saw a stat on it before. I can't see now. Yeah, but I think by that I'm pretty sure it's that draft stat. With like Mullins and let's go
Well, Chris
Carmelo.
Mullins, though. Shout out
Yeah,
Chris Mullins.
1985 draft.
That was the year after Jordan, huh? Shit.
Yeah, yeah, that one. We're just randomly going to speak. This draft had a lot of guys too. Had Patrick Ewing, Mullins,
Oh, shit.
Detlef Shrimp, Charles Oakley, Karl Malone, Joe Dumars, AC Green.
Yo, we need to cover that draft because
Yeah,
you're calling out guys.
yeah, that one had
You're calling out guys. Joe Dumars was a guy.
yeah, that one.
Like when you think about top two guard defenders, I think of Joe Dumars in my head.
Yeah, he's underrated. Very underrated defender.
And he
Yeah,
wasn't dirty either. He wasn't dirty.
he played defense. I think in Detroit, like Bill Lambier and what's the next guy's name? It was Lambier and oh, I forgot his name. He was a big black guy on Detroit. So
Was Kevin Willis there at the time too? Was it Kevin Willis?
I think he was on the squad like later on, I think.
Okay.
But there was another guy, I forgot his name, but those two guys were like the bruisers of the squad. Yeah, Kevin Lewis was on the team, now that I remember.
Lambeer was just straight, just elbow you when you came. We just give you one of these and like, yo, why you need to do it? Just clothesline you? Like, this
Right?
is wild.
Yeah, the Bad Boy Pistons were a tank still. So with this draft, if you think about it, we all know the top four guys, and we know the fifth guy. I'm pretty sure we may have the same fifth guy. I would assume.
Maybe, maybe.
But like the top four is the top four, and there's everyone else. And I think the rest of the draft is honestly preference. It's not like who had like a much better career. Because a lot of guys, I would say their careers are pretty even. Like
Yeah,
when I say my list, is almost like a preference of whose career I would have taken, whose career I
yeah,
would have wanted.
yeah.
Right. So yeah, but this draft was a good draft. Like we said, I will we think it's obvious who the number one pick is, unless you have a game changer and your number one pick is someone completely different. But my number one pick is LeBron Ramon James Sr. To me, the best player of all time. He's my GOAT. He's the number one leading scorer of NBA history. He has won four titles, four Finals MVPs, most valuable player four times, which he could have won way more, but the league, the league is they don't want to give it to you too much.
Politics, yeah. They don't want to give the Joker too much, but
They
that's
really he won it off of like, and they had to. But is Joker ever going to win another one? Probably not. He probably won again. They would literally everyone would have to fall off the face of this earth. Luca is pretty much Luca or Shea's MVP award this year. Maybe an Embiid surprise, but it's
to me.
literally
It should have been Shea this year. Like to me, he got robbed, straight up.
you think about it overall, like the team, but I think I understand why they gave it to Jokic. He's a 20-time All-Star, a three-time All-Star MVP. I can keep going with LeBron, but he is my number one overall pick. His what's his scoring average right now?
Man really made 20 All-Star games, and you know that's 20 All-Star games straight.
And I think it's like 19 probably starting.
Starting or not, you made 20 All-Star games straight, 20 straight.
Lead vote getter, multiple years lead vote getter. He's just that guy. I don't know why. I know. I get every other. I get it. I get the Jordan fans. I understand you yourself as a Jordan fan. I understand all that. But this guy, he averages.
Jordan was balling. I seen Jordan play, right? Like I actually seen him play at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto. So
He's 27, 7, and 7 as a career, and it's like 7.5 on both. LeBron, LeBron, Ramon James. Well, the best. I think I was watching something and the person said like Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time and LeBron is the best player of all time. And I think what they meant is like if we're creating a player on 2K, if we can mold a basketball player to have like all the intangibles, LeBron may be the one we pick because he has the height, like he has the physical size. He can pass the ball. He can score the ball. Not the greatest shooter, but
yeah.
mostly there's no shooter in the top 10 unless you put Steph. If you don't put Steph, there's no shooters in the top 10. But like he has all those attributes. Like LeBron has it all. So that's why like he's like the best person you would want as a player. But LeBron's my number one. I can go on for years. Who's your number one guy?
Well, my favorite player is Carmelo Anthony, right? Favorite player, been my favorite player from Syracuse. Shout out Syracuse. Shout out Boeheim. Shout out McNamara. But I had to go LeBron.
He's GOAT, bro. He's really GOAT.
It is what it is.
He's really for 20 years he's been like a top player. And I said it to you last time before. If this man was doing the same numbers and playing the same exact way, but was 30, he would be a top three player in the league right now.
Holy shit, yeah.
Like if you just had a perfect squad around him, this is for anyone, Jokic, Giannis, whatever. Like you would think they're gonna win a title because you believe in LeBron that much. Like LeBron is that good. LeBron,
LeBron would be that guy, especially before he came back to the Cavs. They were always making it to the finals, right? Making it deep into the playoffs and because of LeBron. So
like LeBron's like LeBron is playing with Anthony Davis, who we all fully agree Anthony Davis should play better, but he just has not. But other than that, who's his next man? You talk about like Michael Porter Jr. You can say he's like, is he better than D'Angelo Russell, or are they the same to you? Who would you rather have?
oh shit. I don't know. I honestly maybe Porter Jr. Maybe because I
Right?
know I'm gonna expect from Porter Jr. every night. Like he's gonna catch the ball, he's gonna shoot it from three, he's gonna catch it and shoot it, and he's gonna average at least a decent amount. Russell, he's way less. He's way more inconsistent than Porter.
He can give you 50 points and then give you five, right?
Yeah.
And it's no knock, he's still a good player. And
Yes.
when he's on fire, oh my gosh, I would love to have that guy on the squad because he's on when he's on fire, he's hitting. He's hitting it. And then then you go Austin Reeves. Well, Aaron Gordon. You like Austin Reeves' ability to score the ball, but Aaron Gordon's such a Swiss Army knife. Like you
Mhm.
like that. So it's just like there's certain things that make them better. But that's number one. We can go all day with LeBron. He's our number one. I'm pretty sure I know who your number two is, I think. So who's your number two?
Honestly, he has my name.
Okay. Thank you.
I have to be like I have to make a correct list. Like I can't
I'm
be
glad.
biased.
I'm glad. I'm glad. As you can see, I put Dwayne Wade top two shooting guard all time because I truly believe this. I think Dwayne Wade, and I get it, a lot of people can. I think a lot of people are gonna overrate Dwayne Wade and underrate him at the same time, which means he'll probably be properly rated at one point in time. But when the Flash, Dwayne Wade, was that guy, I thought he was better than LeBron at one point. I was like, because I'm way better of Dwayne Wade fan. Like I love
Even
LeBron,
with the low cut. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
but
low cut facial
I'm
hair. Yeah, yeah.
I'm a Wade fan. Like I am. Wade's my favorite player. Like Jake Kidd is my favorite player, and then Wade is my favorite player. Like those two guys are my favorite
You
players.
can't like beat D Wade when he had Shaq. That '06 D Wade, '05 D Wade was so crazy.
Oh
'07 D
God.
Wade, he was doing everything, blocking, stealing, scoring, defense. Like he had to do everything.
No
Literally.
injuries, no injuries, Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
Like the thing with Dwayne Wade, he played like his name, the Flash, right?
Yeah.
If he played more conservative, he'd be in the league. He would have stayed longer
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
he played more conservative. He didn't play conservatively. He didn't.
Because he was dunking on a lot of people. He was dunking on man's, like dunking on man's chest to chest.
Dwayne Wade, let me give you his three-time NBA champion, 13-time All-Star,
Yeah.
Finals MVP. He's a 22, 5, and 5 guy
For his career, that's
for his career.
legit.
And
It's
that
fucking
22, I'm pretty confident it's because it fell off the last few years because he wasn't playing as much. Like his last few seasons, he was averaging darn near 20 plus, and then 21, 19, 18. Then he dropped to 11, 12, and 15, and yeah, 11, 12, and then 15. So that's going to drop your percentage. If you take those three out, the man is averaging way more. He's averaging about 24, 25 points a game. Still same assist. Dwayne Wade to me is he's my favorite player. Like he legit one of my favorite players besides Jay Kidd, of course. Like a guy who made his team better, was loyal. Pat Riley effed up. He could have been a lifer in Miami, but Pat Riley got his ego too much in hand.
fact.
Dwayne Wade is just just a player. Like at one point, people were talking about James Harden. They're like, "Oh, James Harden's the best. He's he's now better than Wade. Now better than Wade." And
Oh,
I was hearing that noise, and I'm like, first of all, James Harden can do only on one end of the court. Doesn't try on the second half. I didn't even talk about the fact that Dwayne Wade is an all NBA defender consistently.
and
Let me see
yes,
how much times.
I can't believe people say Harden to Wade. Like Harden's better than Wade, and it's just like Harden doesn't even have a fucking ring. Harden's never been to the. He's been to the finals once with OKC when he was
I, I,
20.
and he was a six man. When he had his own team, nothing came in. You could say they faced a juggernaut of the Golden State Warriors, and they almost beat him to that brink. I get it. But everyone knew that type of offense was never going to beat teams. He didn't make guys better. He never made anybody better.
He made himself better and made his stats look better. Like Harden can ball, we know that, but you're talking about best one top three two guards of all time,
Come
and he
on.
doesn't even have a ring.
And look at Harden's squad.
Jordan and there's Wade.
Look at Harden squads and look at Wade squads. Wade had Mashburn, like an older Mashburn, an older Jamal McGlure, a Joel Anthony. He had Alonzo Mourning. Of
He
course,
had an old Shaq.
A much diminished Shaq, still
Well,
good
Shaq,
Shaq.
yeah, Shaq was '06. He was
He was
winning
good.
rings
He was
3 years
okay.
ago, but still, every year Shaq kind of got boom, 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 boom. So
You had prime Dwight. You had a prime Chris Paul. You had an MVP in Westbrook. You just threw them all away. You said, "No, I don't want them. I want to do my own thing. I'm gonna shoot 30 times." And I don't want to go on a Wade versus Harden debate, but like to me, if I'm being honest, if I have to make a hot take, there is you can say Jordan, you can say Kobe to me, you can say Wade. There is a steep drop, and quite frankly, Iverson's next. Because with that
I don't
six,
care. Eric Snow was a two. Yeah, yeah.
because oh yeah, because I know he played like the one. Sometimes Iverson played.
Oh, he was
I
a
think
two. He was because Eric Snow was there. Eric Snow.
right. So like, but what Iverson has done, what he did throughout his like NBA career. Come on, man. No, the man was 6'1". He was 6'1".
I don't even think he was 6'1" for real. I think he
Come
was
on, man.
five
No.
eleven.
And then you can give me Harden. And I mean, I get it. Harden MVP, scoring titles. I understand it all. But
I feel
he's
like we
more
went if we did more, I feel like we would put another couple of guys above Harden when we really look at the actual Harden. If we really took a deep dive on this, you know what I mean? Because
if we really had to think about it. Okay, so Wade's both number two for us. Now I'm pretty sure our number threes are different. Who's your number three?
well, if your number three is Bosch, that's the wrong number three.
It is number three. My number three is definitely Bosh.
Because the number three is Carmelo Anthony, the Golden Nugget, the original Golden Nugget. They gave Joker his number. Disrespectful.
But I don't think they thought like the Jokic was gonna be like this. They just gave him the number. And it sucks because I agree with you,
Why
but
wasn't Melo's number retired?
it was too early. It was too early. You don't retire that early. Like LeBron numbers don't get retired. So it sucks. Like because now that the Denver Nugget jersey that gets retired is Jokic, and the man who had it before was Melo. I agree with you. It's kind of shitty. But what else do you like, Mr. Melo?
What else? Shit. The man is a savant on the offensive end.
Really is.
Inside, to me, he was one of the best scorers of all time in the sense of post, mid, 3 point. He could dribble, he could handle, he could shoot, he could finish at the rim. He had an in-between game. He had a one dribble pull. He had the jab steps. He had the head fakes. He had the up fakes. He had good size. Like when you think about a scorer, you think about Melo. Prime Melo was killing everybody, not even close. Everybody.
So Melo's my fourth, right? But I'll talk about him now. Like you said, everything. Like his mid range was beauty, beauty mid range. Can score against anybody. The only thing with Melo, I think that hurts him, and has I've always kind of hurted him. He never made everybody better. And if he made everyone better, then they would have been. And mind you, he has a good squads, but I feel like he could have made others around him better,
I'm
like
gonna
the way
say
other
the
guys.
reason I feel.
Sorry.
The reason for that
No,
was
but the thing
because I
is,
feel like George Karl.
yeah, he's the one. But in a lot of cases, not a lot of players made everyone better. Like I don't think Kobe always made people better. Like
No, he didn't.
you know what I'm
Kobe didn't
saying?
make anyone better.
Sometimes I think we have this argument that people make others better. Like not really. Kobe also had Paul Gasol, right? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Who
Hmm.
was a really good player. So he didn't make him better. But Melo didn't. And I think also, and let me know what you think. Melo started going, the league was changing, right? To more passing, everyone touching the ball. So Melo was going into a new era of ball, which where they focused on more team like basketball. And Melo was more ISO like basketball.
But that was kind of the era that he came into, like the
Right.
OC. Like it
Exactly.
wasn't
Yeah.
really, you weren't really seeing teams 22 assists a game. You know
Right.
what I mean? It was, and the scoring was a little bit less too, right? So
Yeah, like what he was needed for and good at, that's what he did. Like he was the man can score 20 freaking 30 points a game. He's a all NBA player, he's a scoring champion, and he also gets you like 7, 8 rebounds a game as well. Right? Those are two underrated things. Melo, he's one of those guys. he will always get love because of his game, but I think he should always still be spoken about of how good of a game he had. I don't want people to this man was a great player. To me, he was kicked out the league. Like he could have been in the league long because he could have played still. But I think it's because he didn't do the little things. Like he rebounded the ball, but he didn't do a lot of the little things people were looking for.
Yeah, and
Passing the
he
ball,
had like
playing
17-year career, so
right.
to, that's crazy. He still could have been in the league longer because
Yeah,
any league more than 10 years is like wow.
yeah. And I think he was a good team player because at the end of the day, he took a bench role with Team USA to let KD play. There's a young KD he let play. So I give him that. So my number three, so I'm assuming your number four, is Chris Bosh.
Yep.
Our Toronto Raptor, Chris Bosh, I've always said this, and I'm talking about like a totality and the type of player he is. I get there's a bunch of talented players. I think Olajuwon played for the Raptors. So Olajuwon's the best player to ever play for the Toronto Raptors, if you want to just say names, right? When I talk about raw talent, Chris Bosh is the best raw talent Toronto Raptor of all time. I kind of want to see what Scotty Barnes does. I think that may take over it. But I'm talking about raw talent. Like if you taught them nothing, if you taught DeRozan nothing, taught Vince nothing, here's a ball. Chris Bosh is the best raw talent. He can do the most with literally no type of skill, like just rawness. That's just my opinion, though. Like
He
just
was
nothing.
wrong. Yeah, 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 yeah. I
Came
like
into the league.
Bosh though.
Yeah,
He had a good game. It's just he wasn't the number one guy for Toronto that we were all looking for at the time.
right.
After
Right.
VC, we're looking for like, VC's gone now. This is '03 is like
A second time Vince Carter should have stayed. Should have stayed. He never left with the whole Tracy McGrady. Should have kept the whole Tracy McGrady thing. Of course, that didn't work out. But with an emerging Chris Bosh, he should have stayed. Because
that would
like
have been, yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
would have been better for them. They could have got a better center at the time to help with like some of the bigs going out there. But Chris Bosh was good. He literally was KG without the
The trash
without like the
talking
tough.
aggression. Yeah.
Right, right. Hold on, I'm just gonna you talk Chris Bosh a little bit. I need to get my charger.
Yeah, so Chris Bosh, yeah, like Savon on the ball court, had the mid range, you know what I mean? What more can I say about Bosh? Like, join the Heat with that whole, 2011, right?
It's
Join
crazy that
the
we never mentioned that part that the big three Heat. Yeah,
big three Heat, right? And he played a complimentary role. He took it back to two steps back, right? So
and then when it's funny because when LeBron left, he went from the number three guy to the number one guy. Like he was easily number one because you're like you need his like Wade was losing power. The legs weren't working and as the way it used to. But I think Bosch is a really good player, one of the more underrated players we have in the league. Talented. He is a good player. I think a lot of people would love to have a Chris Bosh power forward on their squad. He's a stretch four, sometimes could be a stretch five. Nah, he's good. Who is your number five?
number five, this was I thought David West.
Me too. Me too.
Jeez,
Yeah.
jeez.
I think he just has the best resume after everybody else. Mind you, I was a big David West hater. A
He
big
looked
David West hater.
decent. When did you hit on? Was it New Orleans? You were hitting on them?
I think it's hate, but it's because of my like a little bit of my hate of Chris Paul. I just thought that whole team was just like average at most.
Yeah,
Just
that
over.
team was kind of average, but yeah,
David West had a jumper. He had a nice shot on him.
definitely.
Uh, you know, it's weird how this guy came from this draft. And he was very good, very good, very good. So yeah. David West. Let me see if I can find some David West stats. I think he's like a one or two-time All-Star. The two-time All-Star, two-time NBA champ. He averaged 13, 6, and 2, but I think at one point he was like his points were really high. Yeah, man had 20, 21, 19. He was good, man. I can't act like he wasn't solid at one point. So I'll give it to David West. I'll give it to you. Who
West,
is you? Sorry, go ahead.
West was solid. He
Yeah.
had no sort of post game.
He
Underrated.
did. He did. Like him and Chris Paul, I understand that 1-2, like they could have had something really good there. So I get all that. Now this is where I really just picked guys who I like their careers, and if I were building a team and they were like the rest of them are more like bench guys anyway.
Yeah.
This is who I would want. Who was your number six?
My number six, he was a running mate with LeBron James for a little bit, Mo Williams.
Really? That
Yeah,
high, eh?
yeah.
Yeah, no, Mo's not in my top 10. I felt like when they wanted him to be, I think they like almost forced him. They forced him to be the number two. I felt like they were forcing it a little
That's
bit.
what it was. Because moments I remember him scoring more than normal. I would be like, Mo
Yeah.
can score.
Yeah, they were forcing it to me. Not that he was a bad player. I think they just wanted, they really wanted that like who's gonna be
Aside,
LeBron, yeah, who's gonna be LeBron Scotty. Like even when they got Antoine Jameson at one point, they were like, we need a Scotty for LeBron. I like 'cause I think they were
if
done
he
with,
was like a third guy,
yeah.
like a third, like there's two, like LeBron and another main guy in their prime. Let's say, lack of better terms, you have Middleton and Giannis, and you throw like at the guard Mo Williams, and that'd be like a perfect situation for him.
Yeah. This is where also I say to myself, like LeBron, he popularizes players. Because Mo, he was averaging 17, 17, and his All-Star year was 17. Was his All-Star year? Oh nine, yeah. 17.8. Like he was scoring. My number six was a guy who is a nice quality bench guy, Boris Dia.
He didn't make my list. I was gonna put him on the list, but
And ultimately just because he really good passer, but a really good passer, can score the ball. He's one of those guys that like if he started off really young, like started the league at like 19, and just kind of perfected his game, he would be way better, like way better. But he was a
yeah.
really good passer. Played with the Spurs, the Suns, a nice, journeyman. I think a lot of people would want him. He was at one point supposed to be traded to the Raptors. I was actually getting very excited. Him, Matt Barnes, they were all on a trade, but it got canceled like the night of, which was kind of trash. I remember that was my number six. Who's your number seven?
Number seven is Leandro Barbosa,
Barbosa. Let's go. My number seven too.
the Brazilian blur. Let's get
Oh, that guy and his shot was not pretty,
it wasn't.
but he was the blur. He was fast. He could get the bucket, and in 2K, cheat code.
This guy was fast, and I believe he still looks the same age as he did in the league now, type shit.
I think he's a
Barbosa
cool
was that guy. He was a man of few words, but he was just on the court getting it done.
six man of the year. When he played for the Raptors, like he was instant offense and like because he played with the Bosch years, I believe. Wasn't it the Bosch years?
I forgot what years he played for the Raptors
Let
again.
me look at that.
Maybe.
Look at
I
that.
think it was. Because, yeah, I think it was.
Let me look. Let me just double check because I love that he got six man of the year in '07, which I think is Phoenix time. But that Bosch years, oh, he averaged 13 points. Like he was just so good. To me, like I remember how much I loved him on the squad. Like when he was playing, I was like, oh, I feel comfortable. I feel comfortable. Like he's gonna get a bucket.
Yeah, it was for the Raptors. Yeah, 12 a game. Yeah.
Yeah, he was good, man. I really liked him. He's just a really solid player that if he was your sixth, seventh man, you're okay. Like, yeah, defensively he wasn't great, but he's your sixth, seventh man. He's getting you buckets.
And he was shooting from like 38% from the three for his career. That's
You're you're happy with this
you have
guy.
to close out on that. Anything above 36 is like, yo, you should be closing now.
Yeah, he's a solid bench player. Like this guy was a solid bench player. I think we both it's crazy. I think we both clearly like this guy so much. Why didn't we make him number six? He sounds like our number six guy.
That's
But he's just a really good bench guy. Who's your number eight?
my number eight. This guy's a gunner. He's a gunner.
The thing is,
Corver.
I should have put him higher. He's my number
Kyle
nine,
Korver.
but he's my number nine, but I get it. My number eight is Josh Howard.
I was gonna put him, but I'm like, his career was there was a good part.
Been a
Yeah, and
yep,
it just so I'm just like,
I agree.
so that's the only reason why, like, really. But he could play him on the Mavericks. He was a utility guy.
Yeah, like
He was doing everything.
that's why I like that's really why I picked him on my top 10 because he is a guy that could do a lot of things. So I'm like, okay, like he's a guy that you want on your squad. But I like your Kyle Korver pick. That's a good player. He can play in any league, anytime. He's a shooter. He was the All-Star in 2015 when the whole Atlanta Hawks made it besides DeMar Carroll. Like he was a guy. Ashton Kutcher looking.
Yeah, and he was shooting for his career 42% from three. That's pretty fucking ridiculous. From you know what I mean? And I think he averaged like 6 attempts for his career. So he's a gunner. Like that's lights out. Like
I never want to leave that guy alone. Never.
hell no. Like hell no.
No. That's what yeah, he was my number nine. So like he was like you said, he's a gunner, played for a few teams, was lights out. If he's on any squad now, like he's the type of guy like you don't want him to ever be open. Like ever, ever,
Not
ever.
even remotely. Like you don't even want him catching the ball behind a 3-point line. Just catch
Yeah.
it at a mid range.
Yeah, you're guarding him a lot. Who's your number nine?
My number nine. This guy was he was not a guy, but you wanted him on your squad. He would definitely help out in the locker room, coming off the bench. Kurt Heinrich.
He was a solid guy. I was gonna pick him higher because I know the type of impact he did on as a leader. But
Yes.
he didn't end up being that person for me. But I think Aaron was good. That his Chicago time was good. He's a really good like starter and a backup point guard. So I rate that. That's good.
Kurt was Kurt. I'm just gonna see his.
The Kirk Hinrich one, yeah, he's
Kurt was a 37% for his career from three. Yeah,
these guys are good. So the last guy on your draft, number 10.
yeah. Yeah, the last three were white guys still for me. Corver, Heinrich, and shout out to Chris Kaman.
Pickers came in, eh? I
Chris
was
Kaman was nice. Don't get it on
yeah,
the
he was an
Chris.
all-star too.
Yeah, he had moves, footwork. He had a little post game. Like I remember Chris Kaman. Do not
Like
sleep on Chris Kaman.
he's nice. He was my number 12 pick. Like I went 17 deep,
Okay,
legit. 'Cause I
okay.
thought, but he was like my number 12. Um, he's a good player. Yeah, you're right. Let me find Chris Kaman
He
real
could
quick.
he had moves too. You know, he had a
And
little like
just to even quickly say, their top eight, right, in this draft, LeBron, Darko didn't do nothing, right? Darko didn't do nothing. But their top eight was LeBron, no, forget Darko, Carmelo, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, Chris Kaman, Kirk Heinrich, TJ Ford. That's a really good top eight.
that's a very good top pick. Yeah.
Like five out of the eight guys make it to an all-star team. TJ Ford was not a guy, but he was a guy you talked about.
Like when TJ Ford was coming out of school, I remember he was dunking on guys and he
He
was only
was a
6 foot.
guy
Like,
coming out
he
there.
was very exposed, just the injuries. But if he didn't get injured, he would have had at least a 12, 13 year career.
Right.
I
Kirk
think he
Heinrich
could play
is a
eight years.
guy you're talking about. Like we we look at these drafts and like we're seeing guys not making. Like these top 10 guys are not making it. This draft, the top 10 is okay. If eight out of the or let's say seven, yeah, seven out of the 10 guys, we can every person can if you know ball, if you know like even basic ball, you know TJ Ford and you know Kirk Heinrich. You should know. If you know basketball. So that means eight out of the 10 guys, or sorry, seven out of 10 guys here were good. What guy was I looking at for the stats? For your number 10 was you said Chris Kaman, right?
Yes.
Kaman. His stats are and yeah, Clippers Chris Kaman was like really good.
Look, Chris Kaman. Oh man.
At one point, the man averaged 18. His
Start
highest
with
18
18 and 9. Holy.
and he played 76 games that year. Yeah, he's been. always kind of averaged a decent rebounding. He's averaged 11 and 7, but we know there was a portion of time Chris Kaman was like a guy.
Yes. And he averaged 1.3 blocks for his career. So
My number 10 is a guy that I'm more picking for the title he got. And I think he was solid for the time that he was solid for. I'm kind of regretting that choice. I'm not going to lie to you now. But Kendrick Perkins was my number 10. I kind of wish I picked Jose Calderon because I like
wow.
Jose's career. And that was my guy, you know. Jose was my guy.
Kind of agreeing with you that Jose Calderon over Kendrick Perkins, though.
Right. I probably feels like I'm gonna switch it up. Forget it. Sorry, Kendrick. I gotta change you. You were 10.
But
I'm gonna pick Jose Calderon. Jose Calderon, former Toronto Raptor. Assist to turnover ratio was immaculate.
he was the
Immaculate.
best. Like he
I
was like
mean,
the
he
best.
never turned the ball over.
He's probably like top 10 all time. Like I'm not
He
gonna lie.
he consistently beat other point guards for the starting unit. He beat TJ Ford. He beat Kyle Lowry multiple times, but it's just because those other guys were more like dynamic. Calderon
Yes.
was more like slow pace. Like Calderon should have been a Spur.
Actually, yes.
He should have been a Spur. That's the type.
Backup behind Parker.
That's
That would
exactly
have
it.
been perfect.
He would have been perfect. That's the type of squad he. And I think at one point, Jay, not Jay Triano, Colangelo. That's what he wanted for the Raptors. I think he saw, okay, Chris Bosh is my Tim Duncan. I need to get like a solid point guard. How much European mans did we have on Toronto? Bare European mans on
We were the
Toronto,
first to be doing that early.
right? So they were just trying to get Euro mans to play on this squad, and didn't work out that way, obviously. But yeah, but Jose was a really good point guard. If you had to do a starting five and a backup five, Jose being your backup point guard is not bad. He could shoot the three very well. People don't. This man was a field goal leader for a whole year. The man didn't miss a shot for like darn near close to a whole season. He was like 90, like 99% at one point shooting free throws. He never missed.
He was like Barry at the free throw line. Like
Never missed.
senior.
Never.
Rick
So
Barry Senior, trust me.
do you by any chance have an 11th man or no? Just like as a who missed your cut?
Who missed my cut? Like honorable mention.
Yeah.
Honorable mention, I kind of want to put like Michael Petrus at times.
Peaches. I like Peaches, especially mind you, he also played for the Raptors as well. I
Yeah.
liked him for the Raptors. Like TJ Ford, like we mentioned.
Those are
Steve
honorable, yeah,
Blake.
that's another, yeah, yeah, because it's Raptor 2, and it's just the injury. Like,
Yeah.
because if it wasn't for the injury, like TJ4 was mad explosive and he could play, but
Steve Blake was a nice backup point guard for the Lakers. A guy that was also a Toronto Raptor who was once again when 2K was on and I played for the Raptors, I played on the Raptors, these guys were amazing for me. Jason Kakakapono.
oh yeah, he second round? He was second round, no, or first round.
I think he could have been, but when we talk about like people won't understand like certain
Capono
math.
was one of the like not the first gunner, but Capono was a gunner. Like when you heard Capono in the lineup, I was like, you gotta close out.
You have to close
You
out.
gotta
He
close
was
out.
31st. I think he was the second pick in the second round. And he was lights out, lights out, lights out. That guy,
100%, yeah.
you couldn't leave him open. Just a quick shout out. It's so funny. LeBron has been playing for so long. Luke Walton was his coach at one point. Willie Green is currently a coach. Shouts out to Matt Bonner. James Jones is the
James Jones had a long career, yeah.
and
Yeah.
he's the GM of the Phoenix Suns for the past like 3 years. Matt Bonner, the Red Rocket,
Shout out Red Rocket. He was decent
he
for
was
the
good.
I liked
Uh,
his role in the Rockets.
I want to say a special shout out to Zaza Pachulia, who was also
Played
drafted.
16 seasons, but he was messed up for that play. But he played 16 seasons,
Here's the thing: sometimes it's like things happen. If it wasn't for Zaza, that 2019 championship may not have happened. So everything happens for a reason.
which is
The
true.
butterfly effect, and
Which
I can't hate the butterfly effect,
which is true. Which is true.
right? Because he hurts Kawhi. Kawhi's off. Kawhi's like, I need to stay longer. Spurs are like, no, we think you're ready. He's like, well, forget you guys. Masai calls up. bye Jamar, okay, Kawhi. Like
That's
everything
tough.
happens for a reason. So that little thing kind of got us going.
If that didn't work out and we didn't win a ring and then we just lost in the second round and then Kawhi left next season, a lot of Raptors fans would have been pissed.
Pass. Oh my goodness. Oh,
That
that
championship was
that is
the
a
cake in the
whole
frosting. Like that was the
that's
key.
that's a podcast within itself. What if the Raptors didn't win? They lost to the 76ers or the Bucks that because they're down 2-0 anyway. Like,
Yeah, that was tough when they were down to. I'm like, yo, shit.
yeah, it was looking tough. It was definitely looking tough. Oh, we were like, oh, again, like again, we lose to LeBron. Now it's just Giannis's time to kick us. Like, no, that would have been done. So that 2019 championship, that's why I understand you have to live it up sometimes. Like you're like, fuck, we gotta like where we are. But that was the '03 draft. That was '03, the best or one of the deepest drafts we've done. I would say. Would you say it's the deepest draft we've done?
It's like honestly, it's like neck and neck.
Because we named a bunch of guys, right? A bunch of guys who would probably be picked over the guys that we've done the other drafts for. That like 1999 to '02 drafts were just so barren of people. I would say. In our next episode, we'll probably do '04, '05. We'll probably do both drops separately, of course. But '04 has like Dwight,
That's the right
Howard, and then is that Mike Conley? No, what am I thinking? That's not Mike Conley. Dwight Howard. There's like I think some guards there as well. '05 has a little bit more people. It has the greatest debate of all time with Darren Williams and Chris Paul. Like it has some guys on that one.
That's
So
another
it should be better. But that's the '03 draft. Any other comments you want to make, YS?
shoot, man. Do I have anything to make? Do I have anything to? No, I think yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's it for today's pod. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Comment below who you guys would pick. Are we crazy? Should I put Kendrick Perkins number 10? Is LeBron James your GOAT? Is Melo one of the most underrated players of all time? And we're James Harden versus Dwayne Wade. Come on, guys, you already know. You already know who you need to pick.
But
That's
in the
probably
comments, who's better? James Harden or D Wade? Man, that
I
should be a
I
question.
think maybe that'll be the title of this episode. James Harden, because feel like if I put verses, people may click on it more. Who knows? We'll see. But like, comment, subscribe. We'll talk again. Peace.